redistricting affects precincts, and precincts affect voting locations.
Right, because I wanted to be, and I did make a copy of the letter I did write to the director for each of you to have. Before I go to my case in point as to why I'm here, I would like to say that the number 6 biblically represents mankind, the creation of mankind or womankind. And I am concerned that this board would expand itself to 2 more seats for new beginnings, because I don't see any people of color on the board. I don't see anyone that looks like myself or my male counterpart on the board. And that's very important, because we people of color vote too. And we people of color are the decision factors and the decision making components of all the communities in Summit County. And I would ask that you would not only consider that, but make that happen. We don't want to see all the people in color incarcerated. We want them sitting at the board making decisions about voting.
It's not within our power to change the number of seats on the board. That's the General Assembly, the legislature that determines that.
Okay, and I would just like I will be reaching out to them, and I would ask that you will welcome them to make sure that people of color are on the board. Why I'm here this evening is I am concerned about displaced voters. I heard what you all said this evening about the provisional ballots and the missing votes and identification issues and the legibility issues. And I even heard what my sister here said about not knowing where people are voting. But homeless people are displaced people. They're not property or projects. They're displaced people, and they're missed in the voting process. When I worked the polls as the president of one of the sites in Cuyahoga County several years ago, I found that literacy was a problem. People didn't even know how to read the ballots, what was on it. So these are displaced people, and we need to be focusing on addressing this so we can curtail and end this violence in the voting process. One of the key things that is necessary is that people know that voting is not just an opportunity or a mere casualty. This is an obligation. Israel demanded a king from God, and God said, "You don't need a king." But Israel demanded one, so God gave them a king. Then they still complained about that. Voting is not only a right, it's a responsibility, and it's also a biblical principle, and it keeps order for the county, the city, the state, and our nation, so that we know that we have people that we hold accountable. But when we have these displaced and dysfunctional people, then the voting process goes straight down the tubes, and we end up like the children of Israel going through the wilderness complaining, and they could have taken a week, but it took 400 years for them to get through and lost some people. We don't need to lose any more people in the voting process. The polling and voting site organization, that needs to be defined and redefined and broken down so that even a child could know where to vote and how to vote. We shouldn't have to have you all here 6, 7, 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, midnight, missing your families and missing your lifestyles because people don't know where to vote. Who can vote? I was calling because I was at one of the sites on the primary election, and I had a young man who had a green card for the country, for the United States of America, but he can't vote because he has to be a full citizen. Education is not known. And I know we have immigration issues going on in this country like never before, but people need to know who can vote. When someone has just gotten out of prison, when someone has just come out of a domestic violence situation, when someone has come out of homelessness due to whether it be a natural disaster or whether it be some other formality, people need to know who can vote and how do you vote. People in nursing homes are being missed the opportunity to vote. People who are in domestic violence shelters are missing the opportunity to vote. People who are in many places that are in transition. I heard you say someone had a driver's license from one state and tried to vote in another state. We need to get that tightened up. And I'm going to just close by saying this to you. I've voted all of my life since I've been of the age to vote. And I will never stop voting. I've only missed voting one time in my entire life. And that is because of being a victim of violence through this protection order that I currently have, and I could not get to where I needed to vote. I look forward to the day that voting is not the component of violence, but voting represents the voice of all the people who put people in positions to make decisions, because family matters, faith matters. I know you know this, Mr. Williams. Futures matter, finances matter, fairness matters, and fitness matters. And we shouldn't lose a life to voting. We shouldn't lose people to the process. And we shouldn't have anybody that throws their hands up and say, my vote doesn't count, it doesn't matter. Because you all go through a lot. You sacrifice your families, you sacrifice your health, you sacrifice your finances, and you sacrifice your time for people to have the right to vote. Thank you for your time. And I appreciate you. And I really, really do. And I know I'm doing something new, because men have run the country all these years. I'm the ninth cousin to George Washington, the first president who won the country through the weapons. But I came to win the country and help our country through the word, so that we would have healing, hope, and health and prosperity in our nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your reminder.
You want to give these to Denny? Or Denny and I came from the same place too. These are the copies. Thank you for hearing what we both had to say. I met this lady. I called her everybody's my sister and brother. I met her at the polls on the private. And I wanted to tell you that.
Get the vote out.
Right. The voter turnout was 15.7% with 100% precincts reporting. That's not good. Let's work on that. Let's work on it together, you all. Thank you.
Any other business? Is there any objection